Hey there. So, do you know you should never let an AI agent touch the real tools first? Because before you let any agent run the tools, like real tools, let's say files, APIs, databases, we try run it in a simulated environment. So today I'll exactly show you how we can integrate OpenClaw simulation using the mock tool responses and how to switch to live only when you are confident enough. So for this, let me open my partial here, and after you open the partial, as usual, we need to run our gateway here. So after you run your gateway, now what we will going to do is that basically we need to check whether what are the agents we are currently having. So in my another terminal, I will head on here and then I will click on what are the lists of agents. So now we can see that our main is the default agent here, right? So we will choose our main agent. Now I will run this that I want to specify that what message I want to see. See why we are only running main m, because we want to run a safe read only task. That's why we pass a message itself by default itself, and then it will read my all the files in my workspace here. So see, it's containing these files in the workspace, right? Now what we are actually going to do is that we are actually going to dry run or make it in a simulation mode. So how we are going to make it in simulation mode is basically we are actually going to create a simulation.json file here. Okay, so before that I was just testing it here about all these things. Okay, what are the files and here and all, so you can see here. Okay, so these are some of the testing which I have made already. So what is the important one here? Let me scroll here at the top. So after this, you have to apply a doctor fix here. Okay. After apply a doctor fix, now you have to create a workspace considering your configuration file. Okay. So now when you open this workspace here, okay. So whenever you open your workspace, what does it contain? It contains your simulation mode and allowing real tools and mock responses. So how you can change it in the future is you can change the simulation to live, and I'll also show you how you will do. We'll perform that in the live. So this is something which you need to remember. So what does the simulation mode means? It's in the simulation. Allowing real tools is not allowed and mock response is true. So now what we are actually going to do is that we are going to create a mock tool. Okay. So basically I have created a mock tool which contains a bash request, HTTP request and database query. Fine. So now we have to force the agent to stay in simulation. Okay. So we are in a simulation mode and we should not execute real tools. We should only use mock tools. So even though the configuration says simulation, we would still like to say in the prompt like, you're running in simulation mode, and I'll show you here. You're running in a simulation mode, okay? And you should not execute those files whichever is containing, okay? So you can see it here. Yeah. So you can see that I have given a response like you're running in simulation mode, do not execute real tool, use the mock responses from there. And then as you can see, it's giving me the same response which is in my workspace and not in my config file. So in that case, what we are actually going to do is that we need to specify clearly that I need in a simulation mode a HTTP request to return in the API response. So because as I showed in my file, it has been containing your HTTP request here, right? It is containing HTTP request, and then this is the data which is being containing. So you have to strictly tell that you have to prove it's coming from the mock file itself, and you have to return the HTTP request response exactly. Fine. Now, after this, we run a query users database here. So, where is our query users database? In this one, right? This is our database query which contains our ID and name. Now we have to select from the users whichever name we want from this list particular ID, and we want to retrieve this result. So how we are going to do is that we are basically going to ask it like you know using the mock tools simulate the querying users database. Now in the simulation mode it has given me the database query here, right? So what is basically happening is whenever you're giving a prompt, it is planning, and then it is calling the tool, and it's giving a mock response, and then it's giving a final answer. Okay, now let us compare the simulation versus live response. So I'll show you how you can do it using simulation. Okay, so let me open my simulation one. Okay, I will show you how you can do in simulation mode. So this is in simulation. Now I will change this to live. So let's see what will happen after we change this to live. So I will come back and then I will basically run this command of OpenClaw agent main, list all my files in the workspace. So let's see what will happen in the live mode. Let's wait for its response. So as we can see, what OpenClaw is doing internally is that it's planning the action, deciding which tools it would call, but instead of executing it, it fetches a matching response from the mock file. Then it continues until it can answer. Fine. Now, what we are going to do here is that in simulation, no real APIs, no real databases, nothing was called. We all created a mock once. Now, in this live, we are going to actually use real tools. So you can only switch when your prompts and tool chain are stable. Okay, now let's see what will happen when we have changed this to live. So whenever you're ready, you flip the toggle in the config, okay, or you can do it in your database as well. So this is a real live simulation I'm running it here. Okay, so whenever you want to run a real life simulation, do always a harmless live check. Okay, whenever you run a harmless live command first, you start the live mode with the safest possible action, something reading only, right? So after you do this, you can see your visual contains simulation and then live. So let's wait for its response. It's taking a lot of time. So see, now I ran the response and I got this output as this. So you can similarly run in the in the live mode as well. Fine. So I'll just ask this, or else I'll just change it. No need of simulating. I'll just ask using just query the users in database. So now let's see what it gives. So see, even in the live mode, it has given me the files in the workspace. So you can similarly do it for your database. You can similarly do it to call your APIs. You can do web fetch things as well. Okay. So it's almost the same. So there is no difference here. And after this, I'll show you which commands you should run here. So as we can see, whenever you're running in a simulation, you have to create always a mock file, and then you can accordingly test here whichever is suitable for you. So everything is depending on this thing. Okay, this is your main file, mocktools.json. So everything, whatever you are performing is returning from here. Okay, so it has given me in simulation mode using this, the simulated results, and it has given me from the mock file itself. So I haven't given my real database, but you can accordingly give your real database and do the task accordingly, right? So in this way, whenever you do, okay, your workflow will something look like this. Okay, so these are your commands you have to basically run here. So whenever you give a prompt, you first plan it, then you tool call it. Okay, then you create a mock response. Then what you do after creating mock response, you basically retrieve the tools, retrieve the response using the mock tools. Okay, and then you get your mock response like this, then you get your final answer. So this is your workflow, you have to remember this. Okay, and these are all the commands which I have run right now to show you what are those. Okay, so you can similarly test it for a real one and you can compare it. As I have shown, this is giving me the same result here. Okay, in the live mode it's giving me the same result as I have run for the normal mode. In the live mode also it's giving me the same result. So you can similarly run it for your live mode and simulation mode. In this way you can compare your simulation and live performance without disrupting your normal live performance folder. That's why your OpenClaw will basically builds your mocks, tests in simulation, validates your behavior, and then switches to live with a tiny smoke test. This is a tiny smoke test, right? In this way, we ship our agent workflows without risking a real system. So that's all from my side. Thank you.